Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button, like on the way in. So, let's get into it. This is my review, and we definitely got to do a deep dive on this damn girl. But this is my review on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 6, Peace Interrupted. And that's exactly what she's given. Peace Interrupted. We got to talk about this BS. And when I say BS, that stands for Brit Stank. Well, at least that's the way she act. She acts stank. She act like she stank because she has that very nasally voice. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the alleged nose job or she thinks that's cute. I don't know. But we are about to talk about this girl because my personal opinion, I want her off the show. I want her off the show. This is just a little bit too much for your first season. It's given too much for me. And considering the fact that apparently the only friend that she has is Portia at this point, we don't need two Portias on this show. So let's get started. All right. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. So, of course, the first thing they want to talk about production is like, so what did you think about last night? And of course, they're talking about the incident at Kenya's grand opening. And so you have Shamia saying, I felt my heart in my stomach. And Kelly's like, I can't imagine the rest of those posters, what was on the rest of those posters. Cynthia's like, I've seen a lot in this group, but I hold Kenya to a higher standard. So this hits different. And then Portia says she's triggered and it triggered her and it hurt her. And I'm like, why did it trigger you? Usually you're triggered when you've gone through a similar experience. Now, I have not been a faithful Real Housewives of Atlanta watcher for every season, but is there something in Portia's background that they exposed on the show that caused her to be triggered? Y'all let me know. But anywho, after they get all of the cast and what they feel about it, it says 48 days later. Then all of a sudden it's so somber and quiet. And we're at Brit's house, okay? We're at Brit's house. It looks like she has like no makeup on or barely any makeup on. And she's looking at her phone. And then her husband comes in and she shows her husband her phone. She says she hasn't slept. She's getting calls from family, friends, and colleagues. And honestly, y'all know how I am. I'm going to be real with y'all. In this moment, I must say, I felt for Brit. I did. I felt for her in this moment because regardless if I don't care for her or not, no woman should go through this, especially from the hands of another woman. Now, we know there's trifling dudes out there all the time who may do something like this, but to have it happen in the hands of another woman, I just, no, y'all know how I felt about it. At the end of the day, it was just absolutely wrong. The crime did not fit the punishment in this situation, in my opinion. So she's crying. And, she's like, no woman should have to go through this, which I agree. But then she's talking about how she could lose her license. And as soon as I saw this part before seeing the rest of the show, I was like, how in the heck can she lose her license over this? I was like, I mean, did you commit a crime? Like, what's going on here? But I was like, okay. And then at that point, she said that, she wiped everything from the internet. And I was like, girl, that's impossible. That's impossible. You can't wipe everything from the internet. But at that point, I did feel bad for her. She was crying. And I think in that moment, she really was embarrassed and hurt by that going on, because as we know, before the actual show aired, this season aired, it was all over the place. So I can't even imagine. Going through that. Like, that is it. If it was calculated, I know some people are saying, you know what I'm saying, she picked the wrong fight with the wrong person, but at the end of the day, I think it does not look good on Kenya's side. It just doesn't, especially when, one, you did it at your own event, an event where you already are stressed out because you wanted to be successful because of the fact that this is for your daughter. You are former Miss USA, which, you know, someone brought that up in the last review. And it just gave, honestly, Brit a storyline. Brit didn't have a storyline before this. So if anything, Kenya really gave Brit the storyline she was looking for. Had she just completely ignored her at the restaurant and just kept it moving or whatever the case may be and didn't have this type of comeback, I don't even know if Brit would even be valid at this point, but she is definitely valid right now because of what happened. But with that being said, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the like, please. So at that point, Kelly comes to visit her. And, you know, I really like Kelly. I really like Kelly. Kelly she has the personality. She's a fly girl, because I haven't seen anything that she's worn yet where I'm just like, that's not cute. She definitely, but now we know why, honey, because she got a stylist. And we're going to talk about that stylist later on. But Kelly comes over and she says that she always wants to show up for her friends the way that she would expect them to show up for, you know, her. And I agree, but just make sure it's reciprocated. Make sure that, you know, when you're there for people, they are there for you, which I have a feeling Brit is not going to be there for Kelly in some kind of way. And that's how they get into it. All right. So Kelly brings in an IV specialist. And I'm sorry, y'all, but what is up with these Atlanta shows and they have this big hype over IV parties? I swear I've seen this before on other Atlanta shows. Why is this a thing? Is it supposed to be fun? Like, why do you want to sit around and talk with your friends while a needle is in you getting hydrated? I mean, to me, that's a private moment. If you need to get hydrated, be on your phone, watch TV, but to literally like film this and have parties, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird for me. But with that being said, Kelly is like, I'm scared, like, or she was like, I'm shocked. She was like, I'm shocked, and I was caught off guard because Kenya was not like that with me. And I'm like, because you didn't give her a reason to. You didn't give her a reason to. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't trying to start a beef with her. You were trying to get to know her, like I feel like every person should do on their first season. And so, but for those who have watched every season, I saw something today that piqued my interest and my eyebrow went up. Somebody said on a post that Kenya allegedly either put a pow pow on Portia or referenced a pow pow to Portia. And I'm trying to figure out if that's true or not. Was there a season where Kenya did that to Portia? Because if there is, that'd be quite interesting that she was saying to the girls and was so annoyed about Brit and what Brit said, but allegedly she did this with Portia. Y'all got to let me know. Y'all know I'm fair. That's the Libra scales in me. Y'all got to let me know if that's true or not, because I saw that and there was some people commenting like, yeah, you got a point. Y'all got to let me know, because I was like, oh, okay, if Kenya actually did that, why you getting all hyped up? Is because you know what I'm saying, the oldest as far as the longest surviving housewife or whatever, and you didn't appreciate a newbie coming for you? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so, okay, so you said you don't remember that. That's playing in the Sandbox 101. Kenya was in her closet with her stylist when she showed her pow pow. Okay, so she didn't sit up there and she wasn't right in front of Portia when she said that. Did she imply she could use that on Portia? You got to let me know. Yes, thank you, Shayla. Thank you so much. You guys get the likes up, and let me know for those who watch every single season. Veronica said she doesn't remember that. Danielle said it's not the same, but she does remember her mentioning the pow pow. But with that being said, Kelly says she's going to get the girls together and do something fun. But Shamia ends up having to get together first with everyone, including her frenemy Portia, except for Britt wasn't there. And they keep talking about Angie and her fan child, because you know Angie go around with her fan. I personally thought Angie goes around with her fan because she didn't want the embarrassment of her lace front being lifted up again that last time when it was super hot. I think that's the reason why she has it. But Angie said in the confessional, she was like, I am not premenopausal. I'm just the hottest bitch in the room. I said, I know that's right, Angie. I like Angie. I hope they keep her and Kelly next season. Because Angie was like, no. I'm just the hottest bitch in the room. It's just, it's so hard to be me. So they talk about, of course, Kenya's grand opening. Interesting enough, they keep talking about Kenya, and Kenya is no longer on the season. I hope she can get a residual check for the times that they probably gonna talk about Kenya. They was even talking about Kenya on Watch What Happens Live. Hell, Britt went on some freaking show with some lady who was talking to her about the incident, and she looked like she had on a damn blazer and a freaking top, like she was about to go and be a teacher somewhere for some sixth graders. I said, what the hell? Everything else on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, you got your titties popped up like they hurt and whatever the case may be. And then now all of a sudden you coming in with a blazer and a collar shirt trying to make it seem like, you know what I'm saying, you Michelle Obama. Girl, bye. But with that being said, when they talk about Kenya's situation, Portia says that Kenya's choice was to twirl down to hell, right? And so they was like, and she ain't came back up from it since. So Kelly was like, the salon is supposed to be about uplifting women and making them feel good. And Kelly is right. And she said she would never be able to forgive Kenya in that situation because it was premeditated. And yes, it was premeditated. You had to get the billboards and all of that stuff. But sidebar, Shamia's mom was in the conversation, and Shamia looked just like her mama. She just like her mama. I was like, Shamia, you gonna look just like your mom, because that's literally split an image. But she tells the ladies that, y'all have a lot of things going on. Y'all all have a past. Don't tear each other down. And Portia's like, yeah, I like that. I like that. And Angie was like, well, then hold up, heifer. Because see, you came for my husband at my event talking about what you heard about Charles. And then, of course, they give us a flashback. And so Portia is like, I'm sorry, I was actually playing with you. Girl, bullshit. Bullshit. You're miserable, and misery loves company. Because if somebody would have said something about Simon or Dennis or whatever, you would have had an issue with that. That whole dinner was another peace offering dinner. It was supposed to bring everyone together, and you wanted to start some bullshit. You weren't playing. You're just a miserable hussy. That's exactly what you are. But with that being said, Drew comes in late from Shamia's actual event, and she talks about how she's getting ready for court. And Angie is like, divorce is tough. And then she asks Portia about her divorce drama. And Angie was like, would you get back with him? And she was like, no, because he disrespected my mom. Do y'all believe that? Do y'all believe that? Now that we have heard that allegedly Simon ain't even really got it like that, and allegedly Simon is a scammer and all of these other things, if she literally had a legit multi-millionaire or billionaire like Shamia's husband, do you think that she would even care that guy disrespected her mama? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. The reality is that she fell into a trap of thinking this man had it going on. He don't have it going on. So at that point, he was no longer attracted to her, point blank, period. So then at that point, she mentions Pilar and how Pilar has been asking about Simon. And she told Pilar that, he's on a business trip and he's going to be gone for a while. So she texted Simon and told Simon, like, Pilar is asking about you, and his read receipts are on, and he read it, but he never responded. And she started crying because she was just like, I can understand you not talking to me, but this is a child. And I'm like, yes, that is very true. At the end of the day, it is a child, but we are also dealing with Simon. At the end of the day, we see what he did to his other wife to get with you, allegedly. So a trifling man just don't stop there. They trifling in all ways. But with that being said, Kelly is like, look, I'm about to do a peace waffle brunch, but look, Portia and Drew, can y'all get along? And interesting enough, when Portia starts to cry, Drew allegedly cries too, because she was just like, I totally understand Portia in this moment and what she's going through. I could be there for her, but I can't. So it is what it is. But Portia says, I can coexist with her, whatever the case may be. Like, I don't want this drama anymore. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay, you don't want this drama. Sure, you don't. But then at that point, they're about to drink and have some shots. And why in the hell? Because Shamia mentioned Michael Jordan. Did Drew randomly say that she is cousins to Michael Jordan, talking about how her maiden name is Drew Jordan? Girl, bye. Everybody and their mama be talking about they cousins. Cousin, what's up? You liar. Girl, please. And even if he is a third or fourth cousin, does he know you? If he don't know you, it don't freaking count. Get the hell up out of there. Jordan is a slave name anyway. Stop the bullshit. So anyways, moving the hell on. So actually, let me talk about Kelly and her oldest daughter. I am loving the scenes with Kelly in general. Like, she's just giving me everything I want for someone who's new, but also reminiscent of the way the Real Housewives used to be. So whoever cast her did a phenomenal job on that. So Kelly and her oldest daughter Chloe are practicing yoga, and apparently a story comes out about her legal battle and the waffle war that she got between her and her husband. And Chloe says that her stepfather, Kelly's ex-husband, doesn't care for her, and while he's claiming he's focused on the kids, he's not talking about her. And how she says something like, I don't know why he keeps talking about 4 kids. It's like 3, because he doesn't even care for me. And Kelly was like, it was hard for her to hear that, or whatever the case may be. But Chloe says she's fine, and she, she's moved on from it. But that has to be hard, because apparently Chloe has known him since she was 2 or 3 years old. Apparently that's the only father she knows. So that definitely had to hit. And you could tell that kind of hurt Kelly to hear that. But at the same time, Chloe also is traumatized about the whole situation of what her mom is going through. Not only did she find her mom on the bathroom floor crying, and she kind of picked up the pieces and took her sisters out so her mom could kind of just have some alone time. But Chloe says, look, I ain't trying to get married, because what if I end up like you? What if I end up having a marriage like you? And that's deep. That's deep. And I think that's why a lot of people are scared of marriage, because they hear these type of horror stories. But I love the fact that Chloe was like, I want to go to therapy. And she said, I'd rather go to therapy than do this meditation nonsense. But I love the fact that she is not afraid to go to therapy, and she's holding stuff in. So yeah, Kelly just seems like a great mom. And like I said, she's like a fly girl to me. Like, every confessional look, everything she's had on to me has been absolutely cute. Like, she slays. So with that, let's get to Drew. Drew has to leave her house every other weekend so the kids can have their daddy time. Now, my question is, does that include the child that's not his? And I'm serious about that, because I do remember the big thing about Ralph was apparently supposed to adopt her child that is not his. Does the daddy time include that child? Does anybody know? Let me know. But moving on. Drew speaks to him about he's supposed to get an exterminator, and it's in the court documents. And I'm just thinking, like, damn, it gets that petty where you have to sit up there and talk about you are supposed to get an exterminator because that is what the law has set up, that you're supposed to get the exterminator. I'm like, that sounds like some petty divorce nonsense if I ever heard it. So she's actually eating with the kids, but Ralph comes up and she's like, oh, like, wow, like you're up here. And he was like, yeah, today's my day. Cause I guess it's Father's Day also. So at that point, Drew was like, well, you're supposed to do it. I've taken care of it before. But at this point, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what my attorney said. Cause I just have too much on my plate. And Ralph was like, too much on your plate. Too much on your plate. What do you have on your plate? You don't pay the bills. And she's like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna go. Bye, bye. And she leaves. Now, one thing that I can't stand is a man that literally sits up there and claims because he pays all the bills that a woman has nothing to do. Like, literally, she has nothing on her plate because she doesn't pay the bills. She's a mother. If she has a career, she has a lot on her plate. And you decided to set up that situation where you're responsible for paying all the bills. So at the end of the day, I can't stand that type of nonsense. It's like, to me, there are guys like this, they only want to pay all the bills so they can throw it up in your face. That's the way it's coming off to me. So she leaves and she's talking to her sister about how upset she is because just co-parenting with him is just hard. But she was like, let me get my ass off the premises because it's clear that he's tripping and I need to get off before he's trying to call somebody and say I haven't left and he doesn't have his time. And I was like, all right, child. So moving on. Shamia is in the studio with VRL from Next. And Angie comes in and she is saying how she saw how Portia did her at the bank dinner and how she could tell that it bothered Shamia. And Shamia is like, I have always been Portia's biggest support system. I've always been her biggest cheerleader, and I want the same in return. Well, baby, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. And Shamia, and this hit me too, because Shamia was like, she is a people pleaser. And she puts Portia's feelings and even others' feelings before hers. And she wants to leave people in a better place than what they, started off with. Like, so when they come to her, she wants them to leave her in a better place. Girl, I've been there and done that, and that is draining as hell. It will leave you empty. It will leave you like, what the hell? And then what happens is eventually you're going to start feeling resentment because you didn't gave so much and people have given so little to you. So Shamia, you need to change that. You got a lot going on. You seem to be very blessed with an amazing husband, growing your family, getting your career together. Girl, take all the signs before it ends up really hitting you upside your head in the worst way that you need to let these people go. Trust me, trust me, trust me. So then Drew enters the studio and she talks about Portia and, talks about the whole situation with the song that she was playing. And, she was just like, yeah, I saw, Shami was like, yeah, I saw the shade. Like, it is what it is. And so she was like, but the problem is when you're an artist, that's your baby and you're sensitive about your shit. And I was like, I totally understand. But people without talent and passion, they will never understand. So they try to dig where they know it's going to hurt because they know that that's going to hurt you. Because see, I could never, as much as Portia, in my opinion, she could hold a note, but I don't consider her a singer. Shamia sounds like she is a singer. And the reality is, in my opinion, I think Portia wants to be Shamia also in the singing department. Shamia sounds like she can really sing. So at the end of the day, it's all jealousy, it sounds like to me. It's all jealousy. And she wanted to hit Shamia where it hurt. And if that is a so-called friend, hell, I wouldn't even do that to someone that I'm just like an acquaintance with. Like if I go to dinner with someone and they're a mutual friend of a friend of ours, I just don't even have it in me to just be shady on someone. Like that's their passion. That's their music. Even if I may not necessarily like the song, I would say, you know what? Congratulations. Continue to do you. Like, I just don't have it in me to be like, that ain't you. Are you even on this song? Like, that to me was just, Portia got issues. Sorry, Portia got issues. So with that, child, Drew wanted to talk about her passion also. And then she wants to give a dig. She was like, I feel the same way. She was like, and with this publishing and stuff that's going on, it will pay Pilar's college. It will pay for her college. And Shamia protecting Portia again. She's like, well, I do know for a fact that PJ's college is already paid for. She was like, well, it'll pay for the snacks or something. And so Shamia's like, how about you just stop in the confessionals? And I'm like, no, how about she keeps going? Because let's be clear, if it was the other way around and Drew was throwing shade to Portia and talking about you, Shamia, meaning that the shade was about you, Shamia, to Portia, I think Portia would laugh her ass off. I do. I don't think she cares that much at all whatsoever. But move it on. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the like. Y'all let me know how many likes we got in the chat so far. Please hit the like button. It gets me in the algorithm. So moving on. Brit, her mom comes to visit her and says that this drama is belittling of a Miss USA, which honestly, I agree with that. But the reality is what Brit says is that this drama brought her and her sisters together and they're actually talking. And the thing is, in these type of situations, it does bring an embarrassment to not just Brit, but her whole family. But Brit cries again and says that she has always had to deal with hate her whole life, okay? And let's take a deep dive on this shit. Because, you constantly hear this all the time about girls who say, they were always pretty growing up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. 7 likes, 7 likes. Okay, well, definitely get the likes up. You always hear that girls who have never had their ugly duckling time growing up and then they ended up becoming beautiful swans. You do have people like from the time they were born to pretty much adults, they have always just been pretty. And yeah, you do hear that. You hear that people say people was hating on them simply because they were pretty. And I'm sure you have a small percentage that may be the case. But honestly, most of the time, it's about the energy you dished out that causes people to feel a certain way. Bottom line. You know what I mean? And you're talking to somebody who literally has friends who have like model-like features, actually are models, like beautiful women. Beautiful women. And even they have had to do a self-evaluation. Well, some of them, child, some of them are just a lost cause. But even they have had to do self-evaluations like there's some internal stuff I need to fix. And I get that a lot of times growing up just beautiful your whole life can be very difficult because a lot of things are very transactional. You have people who want to use you simply because of your looks. The problem is I don't think that's the case with Brit. I don't think that's the case with her. And I think she's given us example after example of why people don't like her. Period. People just do not like her. And so her mom is trying to console her. And she's like, that's just women. That's how girls are when they're miserable. They're just going to hate on you. But apparently she done also got into it with her sisters where her sisters wouldn't even talk to her. So at a certain point, is it everyone else or is it Brit? Is it Brit? I just think she's an unlikable person. And she likes to just say it's because she's pretty. No, you're just not a good person. Okay? Like, you're just not a good freaking person. So Shamia and Portia go out. And I'm like, Shamia, why? Why? Why are you again putting aside your feelings so she can stump on your feelings? Because again, she wants to say, oh, Portia's going through a lot, so I can put my feelings aside over what she did at dinner. Stop putting your feelings aside because Portia don't give a damn about your feelings. So Shamia asks Portia about Dennis and working with Drew. And what's so hilarious is that Portia claims that Dennis didn't agree to film. And typical shade when it comes to production. They showed it. They showed like a month before how Portia was talking to Dennis in that Rolls Royce about how she did not want him filming, to literally 8 days later after that, Dennis is filming with Drew. And Portia claims, oh, well, I heard that she wanted to still film with him and he said no, and it didn't happen. It did. And he played your ass. And rightfully so, because like people saying, he don't owe you nothing in that department. And if it's going to help him make money for your child, why the hell not? So, sidebar though, they went to some type of Dave and Buster type of place. Why did Portia have on that outfit with no bra on and her breasts literally looking like they were about to pop out? And she was bouncing around like, I won. I'm like, girl, why are you dressed like that to just go out with your home girl? Like, I don't know. That was a little too much. And I mean, hey, Portia's a beautiful girl. She has a great body. But at the same time, in my opinion, like, you are a mother, you are in your 40s. Like, at a certain point, there's certain places where that would be appropriate and certain places that it would or would not. And that place, hell no. It was given too much. It was given too much. So, child, let's talk about the waffle piece brunch. Let me just start off by saying this. I think a star is born. And I'm not talking about Kelly, or I'm not talking about Angie either. I'm talking about Kelly's stylist that came out. Did y'all peep her stylist? I like his energy. He's kind of giving me Miss Lawrence, the way Miss Lawrence was for the show when the show first came on. I want to see him more. I'm loving, you know what I'm saying, the look. I'm kind of loving the subtle shade. He's giving me Miss Lawrence. He's giving me Dwight. He's giving me that for the younger generation. I want to see him. Production, work on that, because he definitely is giving me those vibes of Dwight and Miss Lawrence. Yes, 2025 Dwight and Miss Lawrence. So Portia claims she's sick, so she's not coming. The other girls come. Britt comes in late because, of course, she wants it to be all about her. But Kelly says, look, this brunch is for you. And at this point, you know, I know the other girls have talked to Kenya and they definitely want to talk to you. And so, oh, no, not him, Shayla. No, not him. He's giving me Ms. Lawrence and Dwight vibes, like just to walk in the room and just completely slay it. But with that, Britt gets upset. And she's like, oh, so y'all done talked to Kenya? Oh, okay. And in her confessional, she's like, why are they talking to her with all of this stuff that she has caused? Because Drew and Shamia especially have known Kenya for years. They don't know you. And let's be clear, you can still be friends with someone and tell that friend, look, you're wrong for what the hell you did. But that doesn't mean that they're going to stop talking to her. And I feel like Britt wants all of this damn loyalty. And they don't owe you loyalty. They owe to say as a woman what's right and what's wrong. But that's it and that's all. So at that point, they sit up there and they're talking. And I'm telling you, this girl is unhinged. Like, I just don't even know what to say when it comes to her nonsense. But she says, I'm going through a lot. My husband, my business, my license. And Shamia tells the table, yeah, she told me that she lost her license yesterday. And Angie was like, based on what? I told y'all that story wasn't adding up to me. And then this girl flips immediately. It's like, what do you mean based on what? What are you confused about? What are you confused about? You don't know what's going on? And so Angie was like, hold up, bitch. Hold up. You coming for me, and I'm asking you a question. Now, what it was giving me was Brit got caught up in a lie. And because she got caught up in a lie and Angie sat up there and questioned her on her lie, she didn't know how to handle it. That's what it was giving me, because it didn't take all of that energy. Based on what? Now we know why Angie even said that even more, because she also is in the licensed business. So she was asking a valid question, but you didn't have a valid answer because you know you was freaking lying. Okay? You know that you were lying. So at that point, she trying to get into it with Angie. And Angie was like, you don't take accountability for how we get here or how we got here, meaning that you always blowing up a spot and then you don't understand why people respond to you the way that they respond to you. And so at that point, Britt was like, this is for me, okay? And she was like, okay, Ed. And she was like, how about you read the room? And then she was like, read the mother effing room. This girl is unhinged. She is unhinged. Even if she's trying to act in this moment, it's giving that this is why people don't like you. This is why you were saying that girls in school wanted to whoop your ass, because of that mouth of yours. Your attitude sucks. And even the rest of the girl was like, who the hell do you think you talking to? This is freaking insane. So at that point, they had to break them up. Angie had to go to the other side of the table. And Kelly, I couldn't read her at that moment, but again, she just seems like a very loyal friend. She didn't want to call out in that moment, that I personally think she didn't want to call out that she knew Britt was wrong and how she was coming at her. She was just trying to be supportive. But I can't wait to see the moment that Kelly and Britt get into it. I can't wait to see the moment, okay? But at that point, Shamia says, okay, look, Britt, explain to us, or I'm going to ask the question, explain to me how you lost your license. And so she was like, I didn't lose my license. I'm under investigation. You don't start off losing your license at first, but I'm under investigation. And Angie is like, exactly. That's what I thought. Excuse me, Angie. Excuse me, Angie. What? What did you just say? Child, she called Angie slow. She sat up there and was like, yeah, Angie, how about you twirl up out of here? Honey, not you using Kenya's words and Kenya's slang. Not you using her stuff. It's giving obsession. Come up with your own phrases, your own slang for the show. She said, why don't you twirl up out of here? And even Drew was like, not twirl up out of here. Not twirl. Like, Kenya is in the building and she ain't even here. And so she was like, yes, Kenya is in the building. She the one who started all this stuff. And no one is acting like they give a damn about what's going on. And Drew was like, look, at the end of the day, yeah, she was wrong. She was wrong. It went too far. And, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for your business. I'm going to pray for all of that. But I'm just thinking, like, again, how can those actual pictures affect your license? I can see if it affects your business to a certain extent where people may not want to do business with you, even though she claims she sold the company. So, but maybe she's still doing business on the side. But your license, though? Your license? I still don't understand that. But again, I'm not licensed in insurance. So maybe you guys can tell me there's something in like what they have to sign off on that says those type of things can't happen. I don't know, but I feel like she was lying. She was lying. And because Angie has experience in that field and questioned her, she wanted to start some drama. So then that way it can kind of take the attention off her really trying to explain herself, because we found out once Shamia asked the question, she was lying. She didn't lose a damn license. She is under investigation. Period. And again, I still don't understand why she's under investigation for pictures that someone else put out. It's still not adding up for me. Sounds like a storyline. But with that being said, I'm going to move on from the situation. What ends up happening is that they so-called smooth things over and they start randomly dancing in the backyard. And then the episode goes off. Look, Brit is just, and again, I still feel like what Kenya did, it was a bad move in so many ways. And I don't want any woman going through that. No woman. But girl, you're working my nerves. You are working my nerves. You are always the victim. And I truly think at this point, we are seeing this girl who is a victim and a villain. She's a villain. She causes a lot of stuff with that damn mouth of hers. She don't know when to shut up. And then she wonder why people end up getting so upset with her where they just kind of want to pop her ass. Like, seriously, she has a mouth. She comes off unhinged. She come off with multiple personalities. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. And if it's all for show, for this show, something is still wrong with her. But I don't think it's all for this show. I really don't think it's all for this show. I think this is who she is. How do you have your biggest support system, Kelly, not even want to F with you anymore? And Kelly and Shamia seem to be the less problematic people on the show who seem to have very forgiving hearts. I feel like Kelly and Shamia give you the vibes that if you come with them with a sincere apology and really explain yourself or whatever, they may not want to F you on a day-to-day basis, but they can still be cordial and be in the same room with you. The fact that neither one of them want to deal with you says a lot about your character and who you are, period. And you need to work on a couple of things before you become a mama. Can you imagine her being a mama the way that she acting? Like, seriously, I was just like, girl, she asked you a freaking question. It didn't take all of that. I don't like her. I don't like her. And at first I said I could rock with her, just seeing how she was in the beginning, even with her being a video girl. Everybody got a freaking pass. It is what it is. But at this point, she's just unlikable. She is unlikable. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. She talking all of this mess, talking about pals and all of that stuff. But see, the problem is what I think Danielle in the situation, her mouth is crazy, but she ain't crazy. See, she got a lot of mouth, but she got a lot of people who will fight her battles for her. And that is the worst kind of person. You have all of this mouth, but you got a husband and sisters and all of these people who will stand in the front line for you, even though it's your mouth that's getting them into nonsense. That's the vibe she gives me. Brit don't give me the vibes that she can fight at all. I can tell you right now, if it was between Brit and Kenya, I got Kenya hands down all the way that she will squabble and whoop that ass, if you ask me. But with that being said, that was the end of the episode. This was a decent episode, but again, it's just Brit gives draining. Brit gives Zeus. Brit gives love and hip hop. Brit does not give class, housewife. It just, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just, it's too much. And honestly, I feel like, I don't know, y'all. Do you guys think that the season is pretty much over now that Kenya is off the show? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think at this point, like, I know they're going to bring Phaedra, but I don't think Phaedra's going to be able to bring it. Like, I feel like this show, the season kind of may go downhill. It may go downhill unless, Kelly and Shamia can really, bring it. Because at this point, I don't care for Portia's storyline either. Portia's storyline is pointless. And she continues to have this drama with Drew that is dumb at this point. Yes, Portia is kind of like Brit. That's why they're friends now, apparently. Now, I did hear that the rumor was they was trying to say that those pictures of Brit was her as she was underage. That is the rumor. However, we don't know that to be a fact. I feel like if that were the case, the police would have been at Kenya's door if that were the case. Now, the question is, even if it were the case, did she even know that she was allegedly underage? And just because someone says that they were a teenager when this happened, well, guess what? 18 and 19 is still considered a teenager who's an adult, though, but it's still 18, 19. That is someone who's legal. And honestly, in certain states, I believe 17 is legal too. So I don't know. I don't want to put that out there and put that on Kenya. I do feel like Kenya is not that stupid to put something out there on a girl who is underage. I don't know. I don't know. I would definitely need to have straight up proof of that. But, again, we will definitely have to see if that is the case. But, like, look at her. She just unhinged, just too much. Where is Brit from? Somebody in the comments, drop in the comments where this girl is from, because she's given that she lacks class, she lacks self-control, she lacks a lot, and there's something ain't right with her. And I feel like, I don't know if she's the baby of the family from the sisters, I don't know, or did she say she was the middle child? But it seems like people have catered to her too much in her life, and she needs to get a straight up reality check. But with that, oh, she's actually from Roswell, Georgia. She's from the Atlanta area. Child. Okay, well, with that being said, you guys, please hit the like button. We got 11 people in the chat. Please hit the like. The like button is free. It gets me in the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for liking my other videos. It has helped me stay in the algorithm, and I need that for my channel to grow. So please hit the like button. Replay gang, also hit the like button, you guys. And let's continue the conversation below, because again, some of you guys have been watching every single season. I fell off. So y'all give me the scoop on Kenya with the Pow Pow situation when it came to Portia. Give me the scoop on what you think about Brit. Give me the scoop on all of this stuff, honey. So please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.